Hi, Gay DeRusso with the Majestic Rider. So here today with Casper. He's a Rocky Mountain horse and he has lots of talent but hasn't been ridden in the arena a lot. Working on tuning up his gaits. He has lovely gaits. He can do a flat walk, a foxtrot, and a saddle gait, and he can also canter. He just wasn't taught any cues for those, so he just doesn't know what to do when. Come on. And he's still figuring some of this stuff out. And so we'll see how he does today. The other day he was good, but had a little bit of an attitude because he had a couple of days off, like they all get. And so I had to go back and lunge him a little bit more because he wasn't acting his normal self. So when you know how your horse acts, it's very helpful. So when they're being a little too spunky, you just get back off, go lunge him some more, or round pen him some more, or run him around. He might be like, well, I'll just work through it. You can, but work smarter, not harder. So I always come in and do the lateral flexion first. He's getting this down. Some of the times he moves his feet. I just like to do this to make sure they're supple, that we didn't do something goofy like put the bit in backwards, which occasionally people will do. So you're trying to make sure all your equipment's working before you go out and start riding him. So I always think it's a good thing to do, or if his neck was bothering him or something, I'd find out now before I'd get off. Then I do my vertical flexion. That's in the video, how to give to the bit. If you haven't learned to do this, it's very important because it helps you adjust your horse's head up and down. If they pull, like you see him pulling, you just hold. If he yanked on the bit, I would slide the bit a little bit roughly across his tongue like he just did there, because sometimes people have let them do that in the past. So you see he chucked his head up a little bit. I'm just holding soft pressure, asking him to put his head down. All horses, depend on how they're taught, are going to test the next person to see what they can get away with and if they have to do what you're asking them to do. So you want to take the time and show them, yes, you have to do this. So we want to show the horse that, I know what I'm doing. You got to listen to me. If you don't, you're just going to make it harder on yourself, not easier. Okay? Because they will test you if they're trained or if they are untrained. Sneezing is good. It's a release unless your equipment is too low, like your nose band is too low. That could make them sneeze. So they're going to test you. You can see he's bending pretty well now. The other day he came in and he was walking much faster than this. He was doing a flat walk already, so I knew he had a little bit too much energy in him. When they're not used to doing the arena work, they will do that. They will go fast in the beginning, but as you do arena work, they get slower and slower because they get bored. So lots of people don't teach him the arena work. So if you take your horse in the arena and he's quite fast or unruly or spooking at things or spooking at other horses in the arena, most of the time it's not they're being bad. It's just they've never been exposed to it before, because you'll see a lot of people don't have arenas and they're riding the horses in the barns or, around in their field. So it's just something they're not used to. Okay, so I take them all through this routine. It's a little wet because it rained yesterday, so we won't get to use the whole arena, but we'll use some of it. And it's good to take them in sloppy footing so they get used to it, used to walking in mud, used to walking in water, to see how they do. So I just like to do the serpentine, which is just bending them back and forth. And lots of times, if there's a pole, I'll go over the pole. That one we missed. And we're just seeing, how he's doing. Now, he's pulling on the bit once in a while, not bad, because again, I haven't been doing a lot of arena work with him yet. I've been mostly doing ground work. I like to get that out of the way so we don't forget to do it or skip over it. So he's doing this okay, but he's just a little bit fast. And I'm not carrying the stick to make him go. I'm carrying that stick so when I do my turn on the forehand and haunches and all those things, if I need help, he knows how to do it. Okay? Now I'm going to make him go over the pole. So you just got to practice these things. Even once he's good with me, again, the owner's going to have to do it. He's going to test her, and she's going to have to make sure he does it for her and that he believes her. Young horses test everybody. They're just like kids. Like, do I have to behave for you? You're like, yes, you do. But if you can't make them behave, you bought a young horse, it was a mistake because you weren't ready for one, that's okay. You just get a trainer, have that trainer ride the horse first, and then you get on after it. And you just do that over and over again until you become confident enough and the trainer thinks you're okay for you to get on it first. There's nothing wrong with making someone else get on it first. Okay. So now we're going to make our circles and go into our flat walk. He didn't know about poles that well, and it's good for young horses to go over poles. He trots when he's loose, so I'm not going to go over those poles when I'm much faster unless he's too lateral and I need to bring him more square or towards the trot to fix his gaits. But I want to make sure they know how to go over poles and obstacles. You're in here anyhow, and it's just going to make them more sure-footed. The pacey ones, it helps a lot, but if it's a trotty horse and you go faster over them, you're just separating the horse's legs more with those poles, and that's why they get more trotty. So don't do them as you go faster unless your horse is going towards the pace or towards the lateral side of the gaited spectrum. Now again, it's very muddy. Usually I make circles down the arena, but not today. Use the space you have. So this is almost like riding in a round pen for me, because this is probably about 60 feet. So you can do lots of things in a small spot. You can still do your whole routine. You just change it up some. So he's got a nice head shake. He doesn't have a huge overstride or anything, but he has a nice stride. So you'll see me moving back and forth at the flat walk. You'll see his ears flopping. You'll see his head shaking. Each horse is different on if you'll get those things and how much you'll get of those things. Now I'm pushing him forward because that corner is by his stall, and they all slow down by their stalls in the gate. It's just a normal thing. They're like, do I have to do it? It's like you when you were a kid and you were looking at the classroom window, like, do I have to pay attention? And the teacher's like, Gaye, hey Gaye, stop looking out the window. All right, so I'm not doing the poles every time. Again, this is new to him. So I'm doing the poles some, but not every single time because it's hard. It's hard to pick up their feet, concentrate, and remember, they have to balance us as well when you're going over these things. Okay, so let me talk about some other things. So a lot of people, when they're taught riding, they're taught to follow the horse's mouth, which means goes like this to keep contact with them. You want to be careful with that. With the gaited horses, you already move in the saddle, so without knowing it, most people already. So he sped up there, and I just held until he slowed down. It's like I'm not even concentrating on following his mouth, but because my body's moving back and forth, I just keep slowing him down when he's changing his speed. But because he's moving back and forth, my arms are moving back and forth naturally. So I don't need to move my arms more to follow them. I'm just letting my body move, and I'm just trying to keep my hands pretty still. See, every time he gets slower there because of that. Every time he moves, I'm just letting my body move with him. I try to keep my pelvis somewhat upright and might tilt it back and forth depending on the horse to help them with their gaits. But otherwise, you're just trying to stay well balanced. If they throw their head down like he just did, I just held. So you're trying to make anything you don't want them to do uncomfortable. If they keep doing it over and over again, you add more pressure. So if he pulls his head down, I just hold. If he's pulling and yanking, I'm going to slide that bit across his tongue, which is in one of my other videos, how to use your hands, and show him, like, if you do that, I make it uncomfortable for you. So if you just keep your head still, I'll leave you alone. So due to the footing, when you're riding like this, it's going to change your horse in spots. If it's steep, it might make them more trotty. It might make them more pacey. Okay? The footing changes the way the gaited horse moves, so you have to compensate for that. So if they keep getting pacey somewhere, slow them down. Try to get them to relax more. If they get trotty, half halt, and you might have to shift it a little bit back in your saddle and raise their head just slightly to create a little bit more tension. Okay, now we're going to do little leg yields, which I'm pushing him sideways, and I'm going forward at the same time. Again, that's in another video. It's also on my website, so you can look up how to do it. It helps to separate a horse's legs and teaches them to move sideways and forward at the same time, which is very helpful to go around trees and obstacles on the trail and move your horse over if they keep bumping into another horse, or, you know, you're riding down the road and a bike's coming, to move your horse out of the way. So we teach them all how to leg yield, and all these things are very important in gaiting because that helps separate their legs more. So it will help you with a pacey horse, and it can help you even with a trotty horse. So I'm just pushing him over off my left leg, and he's not moving. So you'll see I kind of touched him lightly with that spur. And then he got a little stuck there with his stifles. That can happen with lots of gaited horses again. So getting them in shape, working them over poles, backing up, doing hills will help with their stifles, but that takes time. The young horses are growing, so they'll go through stages where their stifles might be an issue, and then all of a sudden they're not an issue again. Then they go through another growing spurt, and it comes back, and then it goes away again. All those things are normal. Don't panic. You just strengthen. You might have to give them a couple weeks off. You might even have to give them bute if it's bad and get the inflammation down. Okay? There you go. So that was much better. So he's starting to get into, like, Gay's going to make me do this. I might just well do this instead of fight with her and try to get out of work. Remember, they're going to test you, so you don't have to get in a big fight. You just got to keep up repeating and not giving in. And that's hard for some people. Lots of you just give in. You're like, I can't do this. So that, again, get the trainer, because the trainer won't give in if they're a good one. They'll keep it up, and they're like, nope, going to teach them the right way. So he's pretty good. I usually do the leg yield like 4 times. So it's twice on each side. There he got a little bit more towards the face or lateral. And I just brought his head down. So over here, this leg yield is getting better, which you probably can't see what I'm doing at all, but that's okay. And on the other side, it wasn't as good. So I'm going to do it one more time, and then we'll see. This arena routine, and I have a round pen routine, is on my website under Gaited articles, so you can always look them up. And remember, you can search on the YouTube or in Facebook to find things you need. So there he was pretty good. So now we're done with leg yields. I'm not going to do it 20,000 times. I just do some and get it good enough or better than it was the day before, and then that's good enough. You don't want to over drill them. Okay, so now we're going to do the shoulder in. The shoulder in is when I bend them slightly to the inside. Their back feet kind of keep going straight, and their front legs come slightly to the inside. And I'm making it very basic for you to understand. There's a lot more detail than that. Why do you want to teach your horse to bend and then to do these things? Again, it helps separate their legs. It makes them more supple. It gives you more control of their body, so you can move their shoulders and their hindquarters. And it separates those legs. So if your horse is getting pacey and you're going down the trail, you can do a little shoulder in, help balance their weight back, and what do you know? They're back in the gait. But if you don't know how to do those things, they can't do it. If you know how to do it, but the horse has never been taught, well, guess what? That won't work either. You both have to understand what it means and be able to do it well in the arena before you can do it on the trail. Now, you can practice it on the trail if you don't have an arena, but it's harder. And here it's the same footing. I'm fenced in. There's not as many things to distract the horse. Occasional bird going across the arena. But that's about it. So it's much easier to teach when it's quiet and they're not distracted. That's why we teach children inside in a classroom. Remember when we go outside, another little shoulder in right here. When we go outside, when we were kids, right, we're very distracted. We're looking all around, not paying much attention. It was fun. But I learned less outside than I did inside. Okay, so I do about 4 shoulder ins as well, or here and there. Only a couple steps. Don't overdo it. Have your shoulders follow the horse. And again, you got to read up how to do it and practice it for it to be good. But again, for today, that was good enough. He's much better than he was the other day. Okay, but that was his first day back. And they're all like, do I have to do this? I never had to do this stuff before in my life. And I'm like, yep. Yes, you do. You had to do it last week. You have to do it this week. So now I'm going to sit back, take my leg off, breathe out. See how nicely he stops? Now we're going to back up. I'm just wiggling my fingers. And then if he didn't go, I would add some leg. When I want him to stop, I push my hands forward, and I'm going to add my leg. Backing up is great exercise to do. You need it for trail. If you don't have it somewhere along the line, you're going to have big problems. You should know how to back that horse up. That horse should back up well, and you should be able to steer backwards, and all those things will keep you safer. It's also very helpful for backing, gets the horse's hindquarter underneath them, then you push them forward, and you'll feel that little shove. That's what engagement feels like to start. It's them driving their hindquarter up underneath them. So here we underneath him. So here we go again. So we're going to go backwards and then watch his back end and watch how I move when he pushes off. So here we go. Hands forward and leg. You're just going to feel that back come up underneath you, like your saddle raises slightly. And that's what we're looking for when we're starting to get the horse to engage. With young horses, you got to be careful, okay, because they're growing. So you got to take your time. You do some engagement things, and then you don't want to over-collect them or anything. Well, now we're going to do our turn on the forehand or disengage in their hindquarters. See him go forward, so he didn't understand. So now I'm tapping him with the stick to help him to turn his body. So he didn't do it that well. No, you didn't. So we're going to walk in the middle and we're going to practice a whole circle. Okay? I'm going to do it the same way I did it to the right, so I'm going to go to the right. So what I'm looking for is him to stand still with his front end. See him just yank? Normal thing. It just means he doesn't know what he's doing yet. And I'm tapping with the stick when he doesn't move off my leg. Then I'm going to give him a little break. Now you'll see him chomping on the bit and some other things, normal anxious things when you're teaching the horse. Okay? So I'm just doing it over and over. He just pulled on the bit again and I just held it and then I went right back to work. So if he yanks, besides just holding, I just give him something to do. Holding his leg up is an anxious move. It's like pacifying him, like with a pacifier. So if he does it all the time, I'll just associate my leg with his leg coming up. And then he'll be like, every time I pick my leg up, she puts her leg on me. Every time I keep my legs down, she doesn't. See his leg come up? So I'm getting two things done. I'm trying to get rid of that behavior that he's learned. Go boy. Now we're going to do everything this direction. And I'm getting my turn on the forehand done. So if my turn on the forehand or disengage in the hindquarters isn't good, you saw what I did. I came off the rail, make a whole circle, just 1 or 2 steps at a time. That's it. And if you carry the stick, it makes a huge difference. So when they don't understand your leg, you can use that stick in that same hand as you're using the leg to teach them much faster. I didn't hit them hard. I just give little taps. And it makes a huge difference on getting the message across. So you could also use a rommel ream that has a spanker on it. And if they're not getting it done, you can, swing it back there. But it's much easier with the stick in the beginning. So these things are hard for him. He's like, who knows if he's been ridden in the mud in the arena. This is sand, so it's deep. Okay? And that makes it hard. So that's why some of the times I'll go over the poles, some of the times I'll go around the poles. So again, this is his flat walk, head shaking, ears flopping, too fast right there. I gave a half halt. He pulled on me, I held. Now all these things, when you watch the video, you're like, yeah, it looks easy to me, but when you try it, it's not. So, watch the videos, try it. Watch the video again, try it again. Watch the video again, try it again, until the day you get it. That's how you learn, is practice mistakes, practice not as many mistakes, practice, maybe not any mistakes at all, and then the next day you go back to mistakes, and then sooner or later you got it. But you got to practice it and just do it. The harder it is, don't worry, the more practice you do and you will get it in time. So now I'm going back over the poles. And I'm using my hands to side mostly to steer him, because I don't want to pull back on him too much, because he looks for an excuse sometimes to go slow once his energy goes away. He'll be energetic and then he gets, almost too quiet. So that can happen with some of your horses too. And it can be tricky. So you'll have to push him at times and other times you'll have to be half halting. But with him, he's keeping this speed pretty well. So my arms are following because my body's moving. And that's about it. I'm not half halting except right here when he loses his speed. Just trying to see if that was a frog or what the heck that was. All right, let's go to our leg yields. So you'll see I'm doing this all at a flat walk. And a horse that doesn't know how to gait, a real baby, I would do this all just at a walk. Or real fast horses, I do it all at a walk first, and then I go to their flat walk after I've done this. Same thing if the horse is real pacey. You got to get them to do it at a walk without pacing first before you can start going for their flat walk. They got to learn the basics before they learn the gaiting, because all these basics gives you tools, and all those tools you put in your toolbox will help you when the horse is doing something. So right there, like he brings his head up and paces, they all do it in that spot. It's the footing. Well, if I didn't teach him that when I put pressure on the reins that he's supposed to put his head down, guess what? He wouldn't put his head down when I put pressure. He would just pull back and we would be in a fight. So you have to give them basic education and then build on it, and it becomes easier and easier. If you don't, you skip around and you don't want to put any time in or teach the horse anything and they don't understand, it's just going to get worse. And sooner or later one day they blow up because they're so pissed off and confused they can't take it anymore. So always teach them the basics they need first. So here, hold pressure, get his head down, and then release. Always release when they do the right thing. That's how he's learning. And he's also learning to give to pressure. So give to pressure of the reins, give to pressure of my leg. Horses lean on pressure, so if you don't teach them to do the opposite and give to pressure, well then how can you tell them anything? That means when you're riding down the trail and you want to slow down and you pull on the reins, they just pull back and take off. So you got to teach them give to pressure and slow down when I put pressure on the bit. When I put pressure with the legs, if it's both legs, that means go forward. If I just do one leg, that means sideways. Or if I give you the cue, that means canter, because the canter comes from one leg. Okay. So he's doing pretty well with his flat walk. Again, I told you he naturally has great ability. It's just he has to learn the other things. So I'm going to just do another leg yield on each side, making sure the camera's still following me. Sometimes it's running low in battery, and then it just quits on me, and I'm talking to myself, making videos for nobody. So now we're going to start doing that shoulder in. Not this one. This is still leg yield. Okay. And this time I'm going to hit the pole where he keeps pacing, because again, that's the footing. So anywhere you have a spot, your horses keep pacing in the arena, just put a pole there. It's the footing, so the pole will help you. Okay. So now for the shoulder in, again, I'm going to keep it very basic for you. I'm going to bend in to the inside, turn my shoulders to the inside like I'm going across the diagonal, and then my hands keep going, you see, to the left, and I'm pushing with my right leg. Okay. When I push him off the rail to get his shoulders off, most of the time if you just look across the diagonal, they'll turn on their own. But if they don't, keep walking, buddy. He's like, it's harder. Now see, now he's getting tired and more lazy. But otherwise, if they didn't, I would push with my outside leg. I'd turn my body, ask him to turn, and then outside leg if he didn't do it. And then you drive with your inside leg, and you keep your shoulders over their shoulders. Just 1 or 2 steps. It's a hard movement to walk crooked. Okay? Here he was good, except right there he gets a little bracy each time. But that's normal because I know it happens with every horse. So let's do another shoulder in. So I turn my shoulders, he turns his shoulders, I drive with my inside leg. That's why I have it written out and I have videos on it, because it is more detailed than this. But in the beginning, you just keep it basic, kind of get the bend, and then over time you ask for more and more. So I think he did his shoulder in enough and well enough that I'm moving on to the backup in this direction. So I usually back up 6 times a ride. So leg off, sit back. Good boy. Now see him back up? I didn't even touch him. Good boy. He's backing up because I've repeated it enough that he's like, she stops and then I back up. And I teach him that because that way if there's an emergency and I try to stop that horse, he'll think I need to stop and back up because there might be a cliff in front of us and that backing up's going to help me. But he did it very, very well, didn't he? So he memorized it already. Now I'm not pulling. I put my weight back and that was it. Good boy. So if I don't need to pull on him to back up, I'm not going to. I'm just going to think back up. Remember, some of these horses are very sensitive, and once they get it, they really get it. And if you keep asking them, it's too much. It's like you know how to call my number, but I'm like, hey, let me tell you what my number is. No, you're punching it in wrong. And you become annoying. So once they know it, you leave them alone. Just ask them to do it, and then let them do it. Back. They're slower, but not bad. Okay, so now I'm going to do the turn on the forehand, so I switch my stick to help me. Now this is to the left. Left is always better for most horses because they've done more things to the left. So see that? Much better. Now good enough? No, I don't think so. Sorry, buddy. So let's go in the middle. So I have more room and I'm going to make a whole circle. So I'm just going to do one step at a time. Good job. Always look, it makes a big difference. If they start to walk forward, you pull on your opposite rein. So my left rein is the one that helps him turn, and my left leg, which he's not turning, so I'm tapping. And then my right rein blocks the forward motion. See how that works? Good boy. Now we ask him to stand. He doesn't like to stand a lot because probably nobody's done much standing with him. So how do you make him stand better is you put him on a loose rein, ask him to stand. If he starts moving around, I'll give him a job that's not so fun. And then I'll ask him to stand again. If he won't stand still, I'll give him double the job and then triple the job and so on until they learn just to stand here on a loose rein and stay with me. He's thinking about moving. See him? So lots of standing. Now he's starting to move. He's like, I'm thinking about home. And I'm like, no. So see, he turned himself. I'm going to turn him back. And I'm going to ask him again. So not bad. So I didn't do a lot there. I just turned him and straightened him and said, come on, just stay here. Now the other thing I'll do if they keep moving is I go, okay, let's go back to work because I got a lot to do. So see him keep moving. So let's go through the poles. So now we're going to go to our next gait. So when you have a horse that can do different things, and I know he has a foxtrot, he doesn't have a running walk so much. He could if we spent time, but naturally he goes from a flat walk to a foxtrot or a saddle gait. So I'm going to set him up for the foxtrot. How do I do that? He's trotty, although he can go lateral, so I'm going to bring his head down lower by putting pressure on the bit. I got to get him to relax his back a little bit more. It's tense because the other people who had him just saddle gaited. Okay, now it's starting to come, so now I'm going to add more leg and ask him to go. Now see that soft bounce in the saddle and the ear flopping and the head shaking? That's how you know you're doing a foxtrot, and it's not a fast gait, so it's going to feel like a quarter horse's jog. If he's coming out of it and I'm by a pole, I'll go over a pole. If he comes out of it and I'm not by a pole, I'm going to ask him to lower his head and relax his back. See, he's changing there. And try to get him to be rounder. So they usually have to be a little bit round. Now, if I went over the poles while he's foxtrotting, guess what? That's going to make him more trotty. And see, as he's going faster, he's getting trottier. He's not getting smoother. That's why he's getting bouncier. So he goes more towards a trot, and all I had to do to get him back was slow him down. So you can slow him down by different things. If you've taught him how to pay attention to your seat, there he's changing, but that's where they all change. Now, I'm going to switch my stick to outside because he keeps kind of veering towards his stall there, so that way I can wave it towards him. So anytime he's speeding up, I'm going to half halt, but the footing's deep there. It's acting like a pole, and that's why he's getting trotty. And then the footing by the gait makes him a little pacier or lateral, so he starts going towards the saddle gait. So we're going to try and stay just a little slow here and keep him round so he doesn't change his gait. So if you know what to do, see, now I'm waving because this is his stall and that's where he's attracted to. Now he jumped there and that's because I waved the stick. That's okay. Now he's going more towards the saddle gait. You might be like, what the heck are you talking about? They change. So when you see me doing stuff all over there, he went out of it. So he does a nice foxtrot, but look, he can't hold it with me. And I'm a trainer. I'm helping him, but it's not set yet because nobody set it. Everybody's just let him do whatever he wanted, so he doesn't know the difference. So that's why you want to teach him cues. Both legs, head down, round back. That tells you Gaye wants me to foxtrot. And then when he's doing it well, when he's not screwing around, changing gaits every couple of steps, that's when I'm going to stop. So this is pretty good. So just leg off and a nice stop. Don't pull on that horse if you don't have to. Now again, he's not going to stand here that long because he's a little antsy. So his break is going to be a little break, and then we're going to go back to work. So I try to do when I'm not on video. Now we're going back to work. I might do the foxtrot 3 minutes to start, or 2 minutes if they really can't do it that well. But you got to build strength, and it's good to use timing because we always think it's longer than we're actually doing it. Wave the stick because he's attracted to his friends. Get his head down. Stay slow here in the muck. Half halt. Sit upright. Stay balanced. Don't lean forward. If you lean forward, it's going to make him more trotty. So you got to keep your weight a little bit back. It depends on each horse, but once you know how it affects that horse, you're like, not with that one. Sit back on that one. Forward on that one. It all makes a difference. So you really do have to learn how to balance yourself and how to use your pelvis and just tilt that pelvis to help you. So he's getting much better, isn't he? It's here and there, but for bad footing and not a lot of time under saddle with me, he's starting to get my cues that he's supposed to stay in this. The first day, he didn't stay in this at all in the arena. He maybe did a step here or there, and he's like, they told me go fast and saddle gait, so that's what I'm going to do. And I'm like, no, not anymore. Why do I want him to foxtrot? I want him to have different gaits for his owner, so she has options to ride with different people in different terrain. And that way she's not always stuck on go. Now there he's pretty good, so let's stop again. So see, now I don't have to pull on him to stop. I just stop riding and he's stopping. So see, he's like, I have anxiety. I don't know how to stand still. So you have a horse that doesn't stand still. Again, you can give him those little jobs, but you just stand still for a little bit and then off you go again. I want to give him a break, but I got to work on this gait anyhow. So these are called transitions where you go up and down, and what that teaches the horse is we go faster and we go slower. Don't panic. We just do that over and over again because they're used to having people make them go super fast and they get a little panicky. So once you teach transitions and go up and down and they speed, they go, oh, it's no big deal. She goes fast, she goes slow. She goes fast, she goes slow. And after they make that connection, that anxiety goes away and they become much better. So there he's going a little bit more trotty, and that's why it got more bounce. It was still smooth, but I don't like that. I want it real smooth. Okay. Now that was pretty good. See him back up? Now, if he starts backing up all the time when he stops, guess what? I'm not going to practice the back up much at all. I'm just going to let him do that because I don't want him to run backwards either. So now we're going to do the turn on the forehand again because he didn't do that so well. So I'm not moving on to turn on the haunches until this one's really good or you'll confuse the horse. Good boy. So now we go this direction. Now he's sucking back a little bit. When I asked him to go with my leg, he's like, So I have that stick to get after him. That's a test. Horses test. Ooh, I just got mud in my ear. Horses test all the time. This is our foxtrot. And so if I ask him to go and he's like, hey, Gaye, up yours. I'm not doing that. And I go, okay, I'm scared I'll get off. It's not that he wins, it's that he takes over and then he's not going to do anything I ask. Why would he? So if I'm feeding him, I'm paying for him, or you're paying for a trainer, they need to work for you. So you got to step up their game, like I said in my podcast. And you got to be like, you know what? She's right. Because, like this guy, he's a baby, but he's submissive. So he's trying these little things, but he's what I call a player. He's going to try and intimidate you, and he's not going to do much unless he knows. There, I slowed him down because he kind of lost it. He's not going to do much unless they know they intimidate you, and then they're going to do more and more. And that's what bullies do as people, right? They see who's afraid of them, and then they pick on that person all the time and torment them. And that's exactly what your horse is going to do. So that's a little much. I'm going to keep smoothing them out, but I'm talking. So your horse will do that, and that's what the people do. They bully you, and they go, I got that long. But they bully you, and you go up and punch them in the face. Remember you tell your kids, just punch them once. Hey, leave those people alone. They're like, I don't want to deal with that one. That one's mean. I'll take that submissive one over there. She's a piece of cake. So that's what you got to do with your horse. You're like, don't screw with me. And sure, have your trainer do it first. So you're like, I'm afraid he's going to buck. You get on him and see what he does. Your trainer's like, he's a wimp. He might kick out, and then I'll just get after him, and it'll be over. Now, here he was quite good, so I'm going to stop. Now, another thing, I'm never going to stop over by his stall or by the gate. That's where they want to go. See him pick up his leg? Now he's backing up. That's okay. So my hands are forward. I'm not letting go of him because I'm going to go back to work in a minute. And when I have the video on, I don't take as long a breaks because the battery dies. So to ask him to foxtrot, what am I going to do? A little pressure on the reins, get his head down. Now I'm going to add both legs. Now I clucked because nothing happened, and the cluck says, hey, you might want to move because after I cluck, that stick hits you. So I do give them that little warning, and then if they don't go, I get after them. Now I'm going to switch my stick, I forgot, to my left hand. Because that way, if he veers towards his stall, I'll wave the stick in my left hand, and it'll make him not want to go to the left because of that motion. Now, he hasn't done a lot of foxtrotting, I know that, so he's going to get tired. He's going to be better in the saddle gait, but again, this footing might affect him. So, if there is a gait you're trying to do it early on when they're not tired, if they're not good at it yet. Because if it's like the last thing I did, well, then he might not be able to hold it as well. See those ears flopping? How adorable is he? So now I'm going to see him back up. Good boy. I didn't do anything. All I did was sit back. So I'm going to give him another break, see if he takes it. And now he's on a longer rein. I like them to stretch their neck. If I keep them on a short rein because I'm worried or I don't know them, I lean forward and let them have their head because this is their break time. So if he wants to look left, right, all over the place, he is fine to do that as long as his feet don't move. So you got to teach them what are the rules. You don't look around when I ride you, but when we're on break, you look all over. If you start getting anxiety or doing something, we'll go back to work. Takes repetition, but once you do that enough, they go, oh, I get it. So he needs to do a lot of standing, moving, standing, moving, standing. He doesn't have to stand long, just a little bit, and then we move on. And once you start doing that all the time, they get quite good at standing still because you're giving them so much work. And they're like, now I get it. I get why all my friends stand still with that one lady. Okay, so now he got stuck. So I put my leg on, little tap with the stick. See, again, test. He was antsy and wanted to move, but then he's like, I think she's going to make me do something else because it's all repetition, and I do. So we're going to saddle gait. To saddle gait this horse, I need a little bit more tension around his neck and spine, and so to do that, I'm going to sit a little bit deeper in his back. So I'm going to sit back just a tiny bit. And then I'm going to have his head a little bit higher than it was. You have to have feel, so how do I know when he's doing the saddle gait? I can feel it. And you feel yourself kind of moving like that. It's a wiggle in the saddle. This is the gait I always talk about. It feels like you're, I got to switch so he doesn't want to go by his stall with the stick. It feels like you're sitting on the washing machine. So here we go. We're going to go faster, and he might foxtrot. And then I'm going to go, oh, no, I'm going to lift my hands up. I want you to go into this other gait. So there we are. So he doesn't need to go fast at this. He just needs to stay in it. So his new owner's not going to go fast yet. So I don't want to use this as a speed gait, just a different gait. But you'll see how I move in the saddle compared to how I was going before. Now sometimes the horses will even get in between a foxtrot and a saddle gait. So it might feel a little different and then it might change. That's okay. Don't worry about it. We're not showing. But see, if his head goes down, I'm taking it back up, and then I release. And then over time, they go, oh, when she picks my head up, she wants this other little thing with my legs. So you might see my legs wiggling around. You might see my butt wiggling around. You might see his tail bouncing up and down a little bit. Their ears usually don't wiggle as much at the saddle gait. Some might, but they usually don't. They usually do that when they have more relaxation, and a lot of them have a little tension when they do the saddle gait. So I'm working on the straightness, not having him throw his head, which you just His head, which you just saw him do. He used to throw it a lot in the beginning. And just staying in this gait. Okay, now another little break. So I go 1 or 2 circles, give him a break. He's very good on the whoa now and on backing off of pressure. So see, my hands are forward, so he's on break time, but I'm not pulling on him. I talk to so many people at the clinic, and they're pulling on the horse the whole time. Okay, so now let's go again. So every time I put my leg on him, he better go forward. If he doesn't go forward, especially with the lazy horse, you go right to your stick. So here we go. I'm going to sit back. I bring my hands up a little bit to help his head come up, and I'm going to close both legs. If his head goes down, I just raise my hand up a little bit, and I gave a little squeeze with my fingers, not much. Again, I'm not very strong. So if you're a man and you're doing these things, you might be overdoing it. You want to think very, very light, like your fingers are like cotton. And depends on your bit, too. If your man and woman ride the same horse, the man might have to use less of a bit if he's using his hands stronger. Like if you're in a shank bit, you might have to go to a snaffle or something else that's a little softer since your hands are stronger than you know. And with a woman, you might have to go to a little bit stronger bit because you're much weaker. So see, you got a break there. So he's like, break time, break time. Now this is quite... Now this is quite good. So I'm going to stop there. Good job. Now let's see if he takes a longer break. And again, I haven't done a lot of arena work, so we've only been in here, I don't know, a week. So I think this is fantastic. Hey, and again, he was ridden on trail. That's how most of the horses come. They know the stuff on trail. They know nothing in the arena, or they don't do it well. So see, now he's standing a little bit better. He's like, maybe I will stand still. Jeez, she's never going to stop. So we're almost done with our routine, but you see, I make him do a fair amount of stuff, and then once we trail ride, I try to do what I can out there on trail. A shoulder in here, a leg yield there, oh, a tree. Let's make a little circle, make sure he's still bending. Then let's do different gaits, okay? The foxtrot, flat walk, running walk, those you can do uphill pretty easy. You can do a saddle gait uphill, but it's harder on the horse, so you got to build their strength for them to be able to hold it. It's different muscles and tension. Going downhill is easier. Saddle gait down the hill. They can foxtrot down the hill. Flat walk and running walk usually ends up starting to be a little bit more pacey. So you choose what you can do in the footing that you're in. And if you really have no clue, just let the horse do what he has to do to get you out of there, even if it's trotting or pacing. Okay. So now we're going to do another turn on the forehand. So we're going to look to the right rein, right leg. If he starts walking, now I'm hitting him because he's not going. If he started walking forward, I would use my left rein. So good job. See how nice that was compared to how it was when I started it before? He's like, oh yeah, I forgot. Now I remember. But the stick helps. A big difference, versus them ignoring you. Or a little spur, just a little poke can make a big difference. All right. So let's saddle gait. So sit back, lift your hands up a little bit. Now he's kind of in between. So you'll feel it change. If you have one that foxtrot, you'll feel it going from a bounce up and down to more a jiggle in the saddle. Kind of like twerking. Or twerking, Casper. So I don't, at this point, want to bring his head down at the saddle gait because I'm working on that foxtrot, and we do it all in steps, so we don't want to confuse them. I got to switch my stick to where he's drifting. So in time we could bring his head lower once he can hold it and he understands the difference. But right now I'm trying to keep them very separated. Same thing if you're trying to teach your horse how to trot, but you also want a foxtrot or saddle gait. You got to keep the cues very different until they figure it out. Then you can change their frame and do other things once they're understanding what they're doing. And again, never stop at the gate. If you're going to talk to someone, stop somewhere else. And when you stop, try to stop in different spots, or they pick that one spot and they keep trying to stop there. So he was pretty good. So now we're going to give him a break and go again. So again, his cues now are flat walk. I kind of just walk faster and I alternate my legs. Neutral head set. I want a foxtrot. I bring his head lower, round his back out. If I needed to, I might tilt my pelvis just a little bit forward. But the rounder he is, the more he'll go towards the foxtrot, and then it's not going too fast, because at least with foxtrotters in the Rockies, their gait isn't that fast usually at the foxtrot. If you have a walking horse in a foxtrot, it might do it quite fast. Then we're going to his saddle gait, and I sit back, elevate my hands up so his head comes up, and I sit back a little bit, tuck my butt underneath me, and I use both legs. So both legs at the foxtrot, both legs at the saddle gait, just a different frame to get it. So now we're going to go again. But see how he's resting so much better? And see how he's just walking off now? So he did test me, and then he's like, can't mess with this one. All right, here we go. Lift the hands up, sit back, leg. Go out of the foxtrot and forward. Because, again, he got a couple steps of the foxtrot. That was good. So he's doing this quite well. Now, some horses you have to keep contact. Some you don't. Just depends on the horse. When I keep my reins short in case I need to help him, if they're very long, I won't be able to. And see him put his head down? He's getting tired. So if my reins are too long, he's going to throw his head up and down. And then he's going to start having a bad habit. Wave your stick by their stall. So I know if they're going out of gait or they didn't throw their head and they're starting to throw their head much more, we're not stopping there. Remember, stop in different spots. Keep going. Okay, now we're going to stop. He's like, I am so ready to stop. So stop in different spots because they memorize it. So if I always stop here, then he's going to try to stop there. That's why I stopped over there, stopped over there, stopped over here. He doesn't know where we're going to stop. Don't go in the middle and stop if possible, because then they want to drag you in the middle. I wonder if that's still on. So we're going to do another turn on the forehand, then we're going to work on our canter. He canters quite nicely. You can get it from his saddle gait, so you kind of watch how does the horse get it. Is he confused? We're teaching him the cues, so since I can do it from the saddle gait, that's when I'm going to do it. I'm going to give him the cues for the canter, and then we'll kind of fall into it. A lot of the horses that will naturally do that saddle gait, oh, he's telling me he breaks over because you're getting some anxiety. So let's go this way. So lots of turns on the forehand, because those will save you. You just fall into it, but my cues for the canter are going to be this. I'm going to half halt on the rein. That means squeeze and relax on the rein. Shift my weight to the outside. That's to the right, outside the arena. That's where that word comes from. And then, so I shift my weight into my right hip. You won't even see me probably do it. I'm kind of back. And then I add my right leg, and I hold my right leg on him. I say the word canter, and then once he canters, then I'm going to lightly keep both legs on him so he knows to keep cantering. If he comes out of the canter, I'll start it all again. So here we go. I'm going to go back to the saddle gait. So hands up, sit back, both legs. Okay, now I'm going to start asking. So I'm going to half halt, shift my weight a little forward, outside, and then canter. I'm going to kind of pump. It's coming. There it is. He's drifting. So nice little canter, right? I'm not half halting or anything, but I'm using my body to balance. Sitting back, more leg there at the gate. Bring the hands in and wave stick here because he drifts. Looking where I'm going, but very soft hands. Now, this horse is naturally balanced. The only thing bad about him is he tests. But he's young, okay? Now, some aren't balanced, and they won't even hold this canter. So his owner's lucky. Okay, now guess what I'm going to do? That was about 3 times, so let's relax. And whoa, good job. So that was pretty good. Now, he's in deep footing. This is hard. That's good enough canter for today. I don't need to canter 25 times around. That's better canter than most horses will do. He's naturally athletic. He's naturally talented. Your horse may not be, so you may never get a canter like that easily, okay? That's why you need to ride the horses and see what they are, because you can fake it on videos pretty well. Then you get them and you're like, whoa, you don't canter. Oh, they cantered on the hill. That's it. Oh, should have looked at that video better. So give them a little break, and then we're going to go the other way. So all I did was I started with the saddle gait, then I tilted my pelvis a little forward, shift my weight to the outside, and then let's do another turn on the forehand to make sure these are really good. And then I used my outside leg in the word because I want her to have options. Maybe she'll forget and get nervous and won't shift her weight outside, or she won't even use any leg because she's really nervous. But if she's got that word canter, he'll be like, I think she wants to canter. She said that word. Okay, hands up. We're going to the saddle gait first. Both legs. Now you can cluck or kiss, either one. Most of the horses figure out that just means go faster. Okay, now the canter. So half halt, shift my weight to the left leg, start kind of pumping a little bit like he already is cantering, and see if he'll fall into it. So a lot of times with their gait and the canter, if they're not doing it, you just start making the motion like they are and they fall. Look how nice this canter is. Tilly can't canter like this, but she's a walking horse. So he got a little slow there, so I just hit him with both legs. So I'm not half halting, I'm just steering and leg. So when you use your leg, every time your butt hits the saddle, like now, that's when my butt's hit the back of the saddle. That's when I squeeze a little bit with my calves. If no response, I hit him a little bit like there. He fell apart because I'm talking, so he felt me relax. So if he's not responding, then I might go a little further. See, he can just go over a pole like it's nothing. Good job. So, very nice, right? Nice horse. He's like, let's go home. That's what he's thinking about. So he's turning this way. I'm like, I'm going to side pass anyhow. So yeah, let's turn this way. So you just set yourself up for a side pass, not for going home. Okay, so I'm going to side pass that way first because that pole's close. And so this is all good. He's getting the arena stuff down, but he's still got to go on the trails. We've, tried him on the trails and all of that, but I would like to put more trail time into him because winter is coming. Now he's backing up as I'm side passing, so I'm just pushing my hands forward. See that? So it's okay. They get confused. So hands to the side and leg, and then they a lot of times do it in two pieces. So I only want 1 or 2 steps. I went more steps because he was backing up. So I'm not pulling on him. So he's got some good basics. He just didn't have the cues down for the gating. He's got some side pass on him, right? Good boy. So now when you change direction, sometimes they get confused. So don't let that upset you. If he went the wrong way, no big deal. Just give him some seconds for the message to get to his brain that you're using the other leg. Good boy. And don't expect perfection in the beginning. It can be messy. It can be crooked. Just anything close is good enough, right? He's like, good enough that you go get on another horse, Gay, and leave me alone. So he's going backwards, so that's okay. Don't stop giving your aid. So you'll see I keep digging with my left leg because if he backs up and I take my leg off, he thinks he did the right thing. So don't take your leg off till they do the correct thing. So if they're backing up, you don't pull, but you keep your leg on. And you just look straight ahead. And again, this is in videos. You just search side pass. So I'm hitting him with my spur, though, as I'm doing this, because he's a little confused. So that spur will just give you that little extra oomph, so they're less confused. I don't like to kick them, so I don't want to kick them. And it's a quicker way to teach them instead of confusing them and just digging your leg into them 100 times. So see, now he's much quieter. We did do our basic groundwork first and lunging and the sending exercise. The other day I actually had to lunge him 20 minutes, right? Because you had some days off and you were a little bit of a butthead. But today I just lunged him for 10 minutes, some trotting, some cantering, and that was a better attitude. But that happens with a lot of horses when they have days off, okay? And it's cooler and it's raining, so they can be spunky. So never be afraid. You're like, even you're going with your trainer and you're like, he's not acting himself. Get off. Go back to the round pen, go back to lunging or run him around, whatever you got to do. And no more getting in my space. And then get back on. If it doesn't work, you do it again and again until you figure out, well, today I had to do it for 40 minutes, but now he's a gem. All right. That's it for him. I hope that helps all of you.